What it do, Crispy Crew? Exact moment, area, it is raining a lot. So I decided I was gonna get a couple of videos recorded. Because since I can't do anything outside right now. Plus there are some videos that I was procrastinating on anyway. Before I even get into the video, how's everybody doing? Are you drinking your water? That's what I've been doing. And have you been, I don't know, just keeping up with your daily things? Have you been cleaning your room? Have you been going to the gym 4 times a week? Things of that nature. We're also going to try out a new little camera angle. I realized that I have this tripod that my auntie has gifted me all that time ago, and I never actually decided to try out different little angles and ways to record my videos. A few months ago, I made a video where I was basically talking about in Sakamoto Days, how the writer of Sakamoto Days was basically like, oh yeah, one of the best jokes in my series. He didn't say this, but he's writing this in every chapter and basically every episode since the anime has come out. That, oh, the running gag is, oh, even though my character is fat, he's still doing cool things. Like being fat excludes you from doing cool things. And I was talking about how fat phobia and media like that can be interpreted by other people and how that's a problem. And I was putting emphasis on many of these characters in the shows that have aura, not in that show, but just in shows and anime that have aura too, because, and video games, but just generally fat characters, because I feel like it was important to do that. I feel like that it was important to at least shine light on that type of thing, because people don't realize that that stuff plays a factor in how people see the world. And I originally made this video to say how it affects our youth, but it really doesn't just affect the youth. It affects everybody. The common phrase, art imitates life, and life imitates art, is something I want to say is more true than we all think. That's a great way to actually interpret this point, is to tell a personal story of mine. When I was younger, I loved storytelling to a very high degree. I loved telling stories, and I loved reading them, writing them, watching them, and experience storytelling in any way I possibly could. I was just a fanatic for just a story. I felt like it was a really good way for me to escape a lot of problems that I had growing up. And if there's any family watching this, be like, oh, Dev, what problems could you possibly have? Well, nigga, if you paid attention, you'd probably figure that out. That's how we got into this predicament in the first place. Yeah, like, I just loved storytelling. And that's why I loved story games growing up. Growing up, I was never a big multiplayer game fan, because yeah, they were fun, but it was the story that usually drove me to play a lot of games, There was many times where I would be playing shit like, or I would play any game that I can get my hands on, and I felt like that if I played a story game, I'd get more bang for my buck, because there's always a different way to experience a story. There's a hard mode, there's a story mode, there's a quick time, there's many different ways. And I feel like multiplayer, for me, I couldn't get that experience because growing up, there were going to be stretches of time where we just wouldn't be able to play games online in the first place anyway. So that's why I always loved story games, or at least that's one of the reasons. Also, story games are just better. Cancel me. I love the characters that were involved with these stories, and mainly that's one of my favorite aspects of storytelling, is the character writing when it comes to this type of stuff. And when it came to cartoon and anime, there were many that inspired within me, or there were many characters that inspired hope within me. Spider-Man, Sonic, and Goku were my big 3, with Batman as an honorable mention. I put Batman at the honorable mention because there were specific times where I fucked with like Spider-Man harder than Batman, and then vice versa. So for being honest, Spider-Man and Batman are kind of interchangeable. Fuck it, if there's a big 4, Batman, Spider-Man, Goku, and Sonic. And if I'm being honest, Sonic was the best out of all of them. Niggas, if I had to rank it, it was Sonic, Goku, and then for the 3rd spot, it's like Batman or Spider-Man, it's interchangeable. It wasn't until I got to 9th grade in high school that I would find 2 characters that really hit home, but for different reasons. They didn't top those big 4, but they still hit to me for different reasons that the other guys did. And Yu Yu Hakusho, one of my all-time favorite anime. There are many characters that inspired me during this time, but this one spoke the most to me when I was Yusuke Urameshi. Now, if you watched my channel, you probably heard me mention Yu Yu Hakusho so many different times in my life, or on this channel, because it's just a really good anime. And I'm going to rewatch it because a beautiful masterpiece that just ends really bad. If there was a way where I could enjoy the entire series without with that ending, I would. Oh, I can't. I could just not watch it. Free will, everybody. Little first episode, so this isn't spoilers or anything. He dies saving a kid in a car crash. And by this point of his life, his most noble deed. And the Grim Reaper, Botan, at the time, and the ruler of the spirit world, Koenma, decided to give this nigga a second chance. They basically said, your time isn't up yet. Yusuke didn't think that his actions affected anyone until he literally watched his funeral. This was one of those scenes that kind of opened things up for me, because I seen how everyone would affect him. And I kind of thought similar to Yusuke at a certain point in time. Only difference is before me figuring out at my funeral that people fucked with me, it was people and around me showing me that they cared for me in different scenarios, in different ways, and telling me that I impacted their life in some shape or form, whether it was good or bad. Obviously, I'm not Jesus. I'm not gonna just positively help everybody that I meet, you know, because I didn't even try to help the people that I did meet. It just happened that way. We've seen folks around him cry and crumble at his death. One of the things people saying is that he's such a kind soul, even though he has such a rude demeanor. Like, I believe one of his teachers was saying how much potential he had and stuff of that nature. And this is a recurring theme of Urameshi's character throughout the entire show. That's not a spoiler, that's just an observation. If I explain to other examples, then we'd get into spoiler territory. So, watch Yu Yu Hakusho in English dub is the best way to experience that story. He doesn't always say the right things, but usually means well at heart. As a socially awkward kid, this kind of resonated with me. It made me feel okay about how I showed my kindness to people and that it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Of course, not being rude to niggas, because he would say some rude shit. But I don't have to code switch or turn down my tone when I'm helping people or showing kindness in any way, shape, or form. My main thing is that people can take life lessons or personal lessons from media intentionally or accidentally. There's a recurring theme of people saying, oh, why is this generation so rude? Or I think it's a meme actually, where people will be like, oh, why is this generation so rude? And then it's like, what as we watched as a kid, and it's just like random clips of Arthur from like DW going crazy and talking to everybody insanely crazy. Why this is especially as important, because it applies to modern day circumstances as well. No matter which way you try to flip it, social media as well. Social media is, well, media. A lot of these kids are watching it more than they do anything else. TikTok being a big example. I could go down a list of random ass bad influences for kids and impressionable adults. And I emphasize impressionable because a lot of adults in 2025 act more childish than some children. It was a case of kids raising kids. Now it's the media raising kids because all parents do is just throw an iPad at them. So now they're seeing Kai Cenat and Drewski masculinize dark women, even though they're clearly feminine, and you're just perpetuating really weird alt-right stereotypes accidentally. I don't know if it's on purpose, but it's accidentally. And just really anti-black rhetoric and thinking it's a funny joke. While really that's a dangerous slope to fall under, and I really hope that like no kids take that and like think that that's okay type shit. And this isn't meant to demonize anyone either, but it's more of a call out that we need to be more mindful of what messages are being spread intentionally or accidentally. That's the kind of the point that I'm making here. Because people will cover it up as jokes or say, oh, kids aren't supposed to be watching my shit. And that's fair. You can say that. People that are similar to Kai Cenat who be like, oh, my content is even for kids in the first place. You can say that all you want, but kids are still gonna watch it. I know it's out of your control, but it should be in the better hearts to not perpetuate those type of stereotypes. Because even if we wanted to say fuck the kids for a second, that's just not something that's okay to do in the first place anyway. So it's like, you know, like it's not okay to treat black women bad because of the color of their skin. That is, by textbook definition, racism. And if you're black, that's damn near colorism, if we're being honest. So it's like there's just multiple layers to this thing where it's like you can't really get out of it, you know. Hey man, If that's your content, then that's your content, you know. With that being said, it's important to monitor what you say and how it can be interpreted. Of course, nobody will be perfect, but everyone should try at least. I wouldn't say try to be perfect, but just try to, like, you know, not say crazy shit online. What do I know? I'm just a guy in the chair, you know. But if you did like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. We're getting close to 300 subscribers. And when we get to 300 subscribers, I'm going to do some type of Q&A or some type of special, hopefully. I don't know just yet. I just know that I'm gonna like it very much if you guys get me to 300. Shit, if y'all get me to 500 by the end of April, that's really unrealistic, but if y'all can get me by the 500 by the end of April, it'll help me win this bet against my homeboy K, actually. Help me with that. That'd be amazing. But with that being said, if you even watch this far, because I be checking my analytics, nobody even be watching the video this far. That's actually insane. But if you watching the video this far, I appreciate you and I love you. Thank you. You have a good day.